welcome back to another episode of ASMR Money Mentor. I hope you had a great day. I hope you are relaxing and here back for another episode of my past history over the past many years, building wealth one step at a time. Now, before we get started, though, I do want to thank all of you that have subscribed to my channel. A heartfelt thank you to all of you that are here. I'm really excited to talk to you tonight on episode 27 and 28 and 29 this week about moving on to 2012. Last week, we talked about the pursuit of financial independence, which was something I started hearing about, of course, in 2011. As you know, I was already very dedicated to building wealth, but hearing about financial independence definitely motivated me to do better. Many of you also know that I was watching the Suze Orman show on CNBC every Saturday night, which gave me so much motivation to also do better with money. And as you saw on the title of this episode, I wanted to talk about in this episode how I became a guest on the Suze Orman show on the How Am I Doing segment. For those of you that are old enough to remember the show, which I think went off the air in 2015, she had a segment on Can I Afford It? Where people would call in and say, here are my finances. Can I afford this item? It was a really interesting segment. But I was more interested in the How Am I Doing segment, where people would come on the show, talk about their finances, and she would give you a grade from A to F. So when you come back for episode 29, I will be sharing with you how she thought I was doing in 2012. But first, I wanted to share with you what that was like. And I have to say, in my investing career, not only was it right in the middle of my investing career, it was at a point where I honestly wasn't sure I could continue on the path that I was on. It was almost like a turning point where I wasn't quite sure I would actually make it. And so one night I was watching the show, and at the very end she says, if you want to apply to be on the show, go to SuzeOrman.com, I think it was, and fill out an application. And so I did that. And like a week later, I got a phone call from the producer. I think her name was Suzanne. So first of all, I couldn't believe. I was like, wow, really? Okay. So what they did was they sent me a spreadsheet, not unlike the Build a Budget spreadsheet. your net income is, and then your expenses, and there were macros built in the spreadsheet, which of course would add up all the numbers for you, subtract them, etc. And I filled out that spreadsheet, and you guys know me, I pretty much account to every single penny that I have within my budget. So I remember the producer wanted to review the spreadsheet with me. So I was at work and I took a break. I went to our cafe, and I'll never forget what she said. She said, "Are your expenses really this low?" And I said, "Absolutely they are." And I proceeded to tell her, the fact that I was traveling quite a bit, so I was lucky I didn't have to pay for food for much of the time that I was traveling, so that offset my food budget, which is a very expensive thing for people, and I get that. And, she said, "Okay, thank you." We finished up the phone call, and then she said, "We'll be in touch, and we will schedule 2 different phone calls with you. The first one would be a preliminary call where I would do the intro. So if you're familiar with the show, they would put up pictures of the person that was going to be on that segment, and there was a voiceover. So there was the person saying, "Hi Susie, I've got this, these are my goals," etc. And so, of course, I obsessed about that for like a week or two. What was I going to say in my intro? So I ended up writing my intro, and then I happened to be traveling at the time that they wanted to do the intro. So I'll be sharing that with you in the next episode. But as far as today's episode, I just wanted to kind of touch base on, I think, and I'll share more about this on episode number 29, but, before I talked about having an accountability partner and how important that really is, I think that, being on a national show at this point in my investing career was